Hey gamers, welcome to Wild's End. The colorful forest is whimsical yet full of dangers. One of the things I noticed quickly was the zone was very easy to get lost in. While you may be lost in as in absorbed in the environment, I mean lost as in where the heck am I? The relatively dense forest can fill your screen with trees, and rock ledges galore. These surroundings can make it hard to pick out key landmarks to help you navigate confidently around the map. In this video, I'll review how I was able to learn the map and break it down into different areas. I'll share some of the specific landmarks and visual clues I used in order to get my bearings, as well as show you some of the routes I used while farming XP. The primary goal here is to share how I navigate the zone, and if you're feeling lost in this zone, hopefully my breaking it down will be of some aid to you. So let's jump into it. Starting at the Treetop City, it can take a little while exploring the different platforms to figure out where the trainers, crafting stations, bank, and vendors are. I'll let you explore this yourself. I'm going to focus more on how to not get lost in the forest. The first key landmark is the elevator. Even if you see buildings and platforms around you, the elevator marks your only way up to the city. The small bridge near the elevator is another nearby landmark. At many vantages along the riverbanks, it's easier to spot the small bridge than it is to see the elevator hidden in the trees. Once you're ready to leave the nest, so to speak, the first areas to explore are across the small bridge. For the sake of developing landmarks, I follow the riverbank west. Stop once you see the wild water geckos, and be careful. They might be higher level than you can handle. This is a good place to make a mental note. The place where the rocks line both sides of the river, filled with geckos, and the canyon walls are forming, this is a landmark that's easy to remember. From a safe distance west of the geckos, turn to run straight north as indicated on your compass. Not far away and in your field of view somewhere, you'll notice a set of standing stones and a number of NPCs. This is another great landmark. I see this as a good place to limit your travels as you're starting to level. Now let's turn around and head back south, and finally eastward, keeping all of the Rocky Mountains to your left. Eventually you can make your way back to the small bridge where we started. You'll notice that we just outlined a path around a good starting area, and it has a dirt path running down the middle of it. Once we have a few more levels, the next area I learned was to the northeast. Starting at the small bridge, I turn right around the big tree. Then in the distance I look for the area that passes through two large rocky mountains. Visually this looks like vertical rocks at both sides with a corridor passing through them. After passing through this corridor, an immediate right turn brings me to another landmark. I call this the Two Frog Pond. From this pond, you can head northwest and you will find a curious ridge with a straight green line on top. I call this landmark the Green Mile. Following this green path will take you near a goblin encampment to the north. Starting back at the Two Frog Pond, you can also follow this northeast along the right wall until another goblin village comes into sight. Because I'm playing solo, I try to stay away from these goblins, so I turn a little bit to the north. And then keeping the goblins to my right, I start to head northeast when I'm able to do so safely. Here we arrive at a great number of skeletons. This is a good place to both XP and get some early equipment upgrades. Next I'll head back to the wild water geckos. Due to the large quantity of geckos, the separation between them that makes single pulls fairly easy, and the fast respawn time, this is one of the best XP farming areas in Wild's End. Simply navigate the shores in a loop for steady XP. On the last rock where the geckos hang out, it's a good landmark to learn. You're actually really close to being able to run back to town. Simply travel northeast along the field with low-level mobs, and you're on a route back to the elevator. While farming those geckos, you will also have noticed another path on the east side. This is another great landmark as the passage points straight to town when traveling east. And then from this passage on the east side of the geckos, you are very close to the wizard's portal. Hopefully it's clear now that you can easily travel from town to either the north or south end of the Gecko Gorge very easily. From town, heading to the southwest, we're taking that path that bypasses the geckos. We're following this around further to the south, and there we find the southern Bindstone. Across the large lake, we can now see the outskirts of the Ghaldassii Ruins. The ruins are home to a band of goblins. Most mobs southwest of this Bindstone are elite mobs and a great place to XP and find gear upgrades for small and large groups. Now we'll expand our map understanding to the area northwest. Now starting at that circle of stones and NPCs that was the far point landmark when we first started, we continue to travel straight north. You will eventually see the largest landmark in Wild's End. I call it Rock Lake. One feature I also recognize is the rock point, where you can see the path heads up and to the right. I stayed to the left, and now I know I'm on the correct path to Rock Lake. Once arriving at Rock Lake, I head straight west until another rock ledge. The ledge here is a narrow hairpin that's easy to recognize. From here you can follow the ledge south until nearing another goblin village. As you're traveling south along this ridge, when you look to your right or west, you'll see a dead brown swamp across the river. This is a very dangerous area that can be farmed by groups level 28 and higher. Seeing this dead swamp is a great landmark to guide you north and south on the west side of Wild's End. This path looping around the back of the goblin village was useful for me because along large stretches of this route we find large gleam gliders, mobs that are great XP once you're able to take them on. The gliders don't seem to respawn on a fast timer, so take advantage when you see them. These large gliders remain good XP for many levels. A short distance northwest of Rock Lake you'll find another Bindstone. From this northern Bindstone we can head east. When reaching the upper plateau, I stay on the ridge rocks on my left. Following this around to the north, we hit another great landmark, the bridge. After crossing the bridge, we can follow this winding path. Along the path, you'll find owlbear, raptors, snakes, gliders, and other mobs. At the end of the path, you'll encounter a trio of NPCs. To travel farther to the north from these NPCs, you'll want a group. We are now at the edge of the Ironroot Orc encampments. Returning to the northern Bindstone, this time we head northwest and climb a steep grade to hook around and find ourselves on another rock ledge on the right side of a long plateau. This location now puts us on a path to leave Wild's End and zone to Eastern Plains. To get there, I follow the ridge all the way to the mountain base and then head north and around. What I'm looking for next is a sharp sloping wall as my next landmark. This is the wall you want to follow. Above the slope are owlbear and below are raptors. Be very careful on the low ground here as there are wandering Ironroot orcs. Keep following the slope around until there's a rock wall on your left. Stick to this wall and follow it north. As you follow this, there's eventually a gap in the wall that leads to Eastern Plains. Once you're a little higher level, you can actually XP here. There are snakes, raptors, and other mobs that are good XP. You just need to be careful to avoid the Ironroot orcs if you don't have a group. You can cross this lower area and then run along the rock ledge heading east. From the ledge, you can pull a few raptors and owlbear. At the end of the ledge run, you'll find yourself above the 3 NPCs we encountered before. You've now just run the entire south side of the Ironroot encampment. In my opinion, those last 2 trails we reviewed, the ones east and northeast of the northern Bindstone, they have a lot of running and it doesn't make it worthwhile to get the few owlbears, raptors, and snakes that there are. I instead opted to go west from Rock Lake and find crocodiles to farm. This is a good way to start learning the Northwest Territory. This path along the hairpin and ridgeline should be a little familiar if you've been farming large gleam gliders. The north end here is a good starting point to farm a series of crocs without crossing the river. There's only a couple Moor'vaki to be careful of. After a short swim here, you land on a coast where there can be a couple more mobs, and then as you move up the slope, you find yourself back where the large gliders were. From the south side of the hairpin, I can also look down, and then I see this break on the far side. This will lead down to the south end of the croc line we just reviewed. To get to some more crocs, you can now go further south through the opening and head west. Be careful to stay on the lower end of this slope, as there's a group of Moor'vaki up top. Heading across this open space, you'll notice that there's more dead brown swamp to your south. You're not going to want to go that way. Instead, you'll find another small rock pond. Around this pond and one terrace to the north, you'll find a bunch more crocs. Finally, when you're ready to take on the more difficult Moor'vaki, the lizard men, you'll be able to push farther west across the river. There's a good number of mobs throughout the area. Here are a few paths that I use that might allow you to get familiar with the area. If you found this video to be helpful, please do leave a comment, like, and especially subscribe to help this channel grow. You can also follow me on Twitch where I stream games weekly. I do appreciate it a lot, and thank you very much. There's also a long path that follows the river on the safe side along the dead brown Moor'vaki swamp. Following this to the south will lead you back to the Ghaldassii Ruins. Here's a quick overview of some of the locations, camps, and landmarks on the full map. The city, Wizard's Portal, Rock Lake, Northern Bindstone, Ghaldassii Ruins. Be careful of the swamp and the Ironroot Orcs. There are also goblin and fairling camps throughout. Here's the passage to Eastern Plains. The starting areas to XP, lots of skeletons, geckos, large gleam gliders, owlbear, and finally, crocs and the Moor'vaki. Running these routes and paying close attention to identify some landmarks has greatly helped me feel confident while running around Wild's End. With some practice, I hope you're able to more easily navigate this large zone.